Heal Yourself with Sarah Dawkins, Episode 18, with guest Karina Melissa. Karina comes from a healthcare background and has knowledge in many avenues of the medical field. She bravely decided to make a drastic career change and follow her intuition, which led her on a holistic spiritual path. She's a certified yoga instructor and meditation teacher, as well as a certified plant-based chef and baker. Her main passion is to investigate, educate, and seek adventure through wanderlust. Karina wants to spread positive light to the mass collective and showcase that through her healing journey. Welcome, Karina. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on the show. You wrote a chapter for my book, and I believe you were chapter 25, Ulcerative Colitis or Not.
Yes.
Would you like to share your journey with the viewers?
Of course. Yeah. So, I think it was back in like 2015, I want to say, a while ago. I'm not good with memory anymore. It's not something I really want to focus on, but I started having some symptoms, and luckily I also personally come from a healthcare background and was working a really stressful corporate job in the medical field. And I kind of knew what was going on, but I kind of put it on the back burner because I really didn't want to deal with it. And I was like, oh, it's okay. It'll go away.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It got worse. And I kind of self-diagnosed myself just because I knew from it, my previous background and stuff. But I highly advise you do not do that. And I was like, oh, well, this is happening. Like, I have to really get my act together because, with any type of gut issue, especially to that extreme, you see Crohn's, you can't let it, go on further because it takes a really big toll on your body, right? Like, I was bleeding internally. So I was like, okay, well, I need to get an actual clinical diagnosis just to make sure and get everything checked out to see what exactly is happening. But I knew that I didn't want to go that route. I knew they were going to pump me with antibiotics and, get me all these other medicines and stuff. And from experience, because I actually was studying to be a pharmacist a long time ago. And it wasn't something I initially wanted to do, but it was something that I was kind of pushed into doing. And the more and more I, was going into that, I was like, I feel like such a hypocrite for prescribing medication that I don't believe in, right? And from a very young age, I was always anti-drugs and anti Western medicine. I don't know how I came across it, but it was just something that naturally just drew me in, alternative medicine. So it was just kind of like a calling that I had. And, going back and, getting the diagnosis, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to put you on this and do this protocol and that. And I literally just looked at the doctor and I was like, well, thank you, but no. And he was like, what do you mean? It was like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? Yeah. And I was like, I just needed to make sure that I was correct, and I was, and I needed to make sure where exactly the issue was in my gut. And I was like, I'm just going to do this. And I remember my parents looking at me like, are you crazy? Like, you need to take this medication, at least get it under control, and then do whatever you want to do. I made it really I sat with it for a while. And there was a lot of people in my personal life that were like, you are crazy for doing this. But, it took me a lot longer, obviously, because with alternative medicine, it is going to take you a lot longer. Even though I had that experience in the medical realm, I still was thrown on the deep end because I had to start from scratch. I had to relearn everything. I literally had to open my textbooks and relearn anatomy and figure out everything. And with supplements, it's also harder because you don't want to take a lot of different stuff, especially when you're that inflamed, because you don't know how your body's going to react. And then also, there's other things in the supplements that you might trigger something else, like you don't know. So you have to be very careful and very gentle with your body at that time. So I made small, changes. I was very strict with my diet. I think that was like the number one thing that really, really helped me. I wasn't like a bad eater per se, but I just cut out completely all gluten, all sugar, all like, processed foods. Really went back to like whole plant-based diet. For me at the time, I was strict vegan. That was something that was important to me at that time. So I kind of just stuck it through. And then just kind of, played with it as much as I could to kind of fine tune and figure out what worked for me. Because again, everybody is different. Every person is different, and your lifestyle is different. What works for me is not necessarily going to work for, everyone else. And you have to figure out, what is going to be best for you and your lifestyle during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it strange that we refer to it as alternative medicine, and yet it's, the lifelong, history-long medicine that tribes people have used, that our ancestors used before modern medicine came about.
I know, it's the first form of medicine. It is what built the medical system. And it's just so crazy to me how it's forgotten, and people, refer to Western medicine as the form of medicine. Yes. But it's nice to see that it's coming back. People are starting to come back to it because they realize that Western medicine doesn't have all the answers.
No. And what Western medicine, because my background's I was a nurse for 20 years, and Western medicine is about symptom suppression, whereas what we call alternative medicine is more about the healing of the root cause of what's going on and supporting our body, whereas the pharmaceutical medications don't really support our body. They're quite toxic. And then we've got the side effects of the pharmaceuticals to then deal with. And quite often people will be prescribed another medication on top to reduce the symptoms that the first tablet gave them. So it's quite, it's like a treadmill, isn't it? Once you get on the pharmaceuticals, like, where do you stop?
Yeah, it's like a cyclic, repetitive thing. And that's exactly what I didn't want. I didn't want to have medication or be on medication and then prescribed another medication for a symptom I had, and, keep going down that loophole, because I've seen people in my personal life go through that. And then you're just constantly sick. And the thing is, I wanted to go to the root cause. I wanted to figure out, I didn't want like a quick Band-Aid or a quick seal to mask the symptoms. You need to go to or at least I believe, you need to go to the root cause to figure out and heal it from that point.
Yeah, from the bottom up rather than from the top down.
Yes.
And what do you think was your root cause, if I'm able to ask?
Yeah, of course. So I honestly think it was a lot of different things, but basically it was stress. I was working a very corporate, stressful job. I was on call. I never slept. Had to be in the morning at 8 a.m. and work all through the night, and then, expected to work, just, kept going, pushing. And my body freaked out. I couldn't take it, And so that's initially what happened. I was inflamed. Yeah.
And stress, it's a killer, isn't it?
It really is.
It causes us so many problems within our body.
Mm-hmm.
And not just ulcerative colitis that you were initially diagnosed with, but heart disease and pain and so many more. You can link so many disease processes to a stressful lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's the main thing that causes inflammation, when you think about it. And inflammation doesn't necessarily have to be in the gut. It can, depending on, the person, again, it can manifest in so many different ways.
Yeah. And the gut health, good gut health is so important for overall physical health, isn't it?
It is. Your gut is your second brain, and it's super, super important to, have a good gut in order to have, longevity and to, feel your optimum self.
Yes, yes. And what kind of foods would you recommend somebody to eat if they've got gut problems?
Yeah, I would say go on the anti-inflammatory diet. That is key. That is what I did for a very, very long time. Cut out nightshades. That's one of the most important things. And if you're having problems with digestion specifically, cut out all roughage, high roughage foods. So like corn, nuts, seeds, things that you can't really break down and digest. And I'm not saying cut it out forever. Just, you have to come up with a plan yourself and figure out, okay, I need to cut this out for a little bit, eat more easier foods that you can digest, and then maybe reintroduce it a couple months later to see how your body reacts. But yeah, it's something that's really hard because there are people, that can't eat anything. At one point, I couldn't eat anything. Nothing would help, like I would react with everything. But it's just one of those things where I totally get it. And it's very stressful again to be in that state, but you just kind of have to, play with it and see what works for you.
Yeah, because we're all different, aren't we? We're all going to react differently
Yeah.
to different foods, working alongside the stress that people are dealing with. And I think the elimination diet's good in that you can eliminate foods for a certain period of time and see how that feels within your body. Um, I've got friends who've done that and they know how they react to certain foods. So they eliminate them until they've dealt with some of the stress. And once they're calmer, they can eat those foods without any symptoms. But in a high stressful state, they exacerbate their health problems.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, now, I can eat everything. So, it takes time, you gotta give your body time to heal because it's in a stressed out state. And, whatever is happening within your body, like for me, it was my gut, everything was going to the gut to try to help, target. It's like I think of like your internal body as like a little like messenger, or like, no, I'm not explaining that right. Where there's like little people that are like working and trying to fix everything that's happening, like if you break it down on a structural level. And so they're all going to your gut, in my sense, to help fix it, so they can't really focus on anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. That's where your body needs the most healing. So it sends essentially little people or helpers as part of our body structures to that area to start the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about fasting with gut health?
Yeah, so I did do intermittent fasting.
Right.
And I think it depends on the person. If you are someone who knows that you need, because it depends if you have other health problems too. Like there are some people, like diabetics, for example, you cannot fast. You need to eat on a regular basis. And someone who has low blood pressure or something, you cannot fast. So you kind of just have to see if you have other health problems,
Yeah.
because we don't want, any other problems to
Sure.
occur. But to give your digestive system a rest, that's what I did initially. So I would fast in the morning. So I would have like my breakfast, brunch, whatever you would call it, at like 11. So I would just drink liquids in the morning, and that kind of helped my digestive system rest and kind of recuperate. I wouldn't say long term it's a good thing, but when you're in that very heightened, stressed out state, maybe you would want to give it a try. And that really did help, I think, personally for me.
Yeah, I'm a big lover of coconut water as well. Because I do intermittent fasting and I have coconut water as a backup because there's energy in it and it hydrates and it's nutrient dense as well. So it kind of covers a whole range of necessary nutrition, hydration from my body, but
Mm-hmm.
without the fiber, the roughage to make my digestive system work.
Yeah, yeah. Coconut water is great. Very high in electrolytes. We need those electrolytes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And And the other thing about fasting is you can potentially miss out on some nutrients if you're not eating enough foods through the day.
Yeah, that's another thing, is you have to be able to make up for those calories that you did not. So like for me, I know I wouldn't make up those calories if I continue doing it. So again, it depends on the person and your lifestyle, but it is a great option to look into if someone is, considering it.
Absolutely, yes. But there's so many different things that we can do as well, isn't there, on top of nutrition and fasting, food, physical things. We can do some mental health work, and we can do some emotional healing and some spiritual healing.
Yes.
So important in the healing process.
Absolutely. And that's initially what I ended up doing as well, alongside, my diet and sort of stepping back and taking out the stress, as I was looking, for more, I guess, calming, more relaxing type things. So I really got into yoga and meditation, which really helped with the stress and just, calming my body down. And then I also was looking at my mental health and diving a little bit deeper into the mind and healing, my inner child, tapping into some of that shadow work. I think that's really important to also look at, because that's also a part of healing, right? It's a holistic approach.
Yeah. And can I ask you to share what kind of work you did around that inner child? How did you heal that wounded inner child?
Yeah, so I'm still on that process. It's a long process. I don't think it ever
Exactly.
ends.
Yeah.
There's different stages of it.
Yeah.
But when I never really seeked help or coaches or anything. I kind of just did what I felt like my inner child would like. I started with the things that made me happy as a child. So for me, certain animated movies, or whatever made you happy that you don't necessarily do anymore as an adult, because as you grow older, people are like, no, you can't be interested in that. It's childish. And you're like, but you still need that too. You need a little play and a little fun, because if you're constantly just doing work and stressing yourself out, you're just going to go back into that same hole that you came out of, right? So yeah. And then writing, I loved writing when I was a kid, and just listening to a lot of old music that I used to listen to growing up. And really, I started dancing again, because I used to dance when I was younger, and that made me really happy. So yeah, just little things. It doesn't have to be grand or big.
No.
Just little things.
And it is just reconnecting back with that inner child, isn't it, that we used to be, and remembering what he or she liked to do, and do more of that, because I don't think we have enough fun in our lives. And why can't we watch an animated movie if we want to? It's, what difference does age make?
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. Do whatever makes you happy. At the end of the day, life is, so filled with stress, and it's not a healthy lifestyle to be living.
No, and I think other people tend to judge as well, out of a lack of knowing and understanding, because we don't know what people have been through in their lives, do we? They don't wear it on their sleeves, so we can only meet people at face value, and at a value, at a level that we've healed to. So if we understand our own wounds and trauma, we can quite often see other people's. So it's about understanding that they're coming from that place of judging, because they've still got that wounded inner child. They haven't done that healing work to bring themselves that loving compassion that we would give to others in our same place. And that loving compassion is so necessary, and a part of the healing journey.
Absolutely. I think you should have compassion for everyone, because like you said, you really don't know what they've been through or what state they are in their life. And that's something that I really look and value and actually practice in my daily life. I don't like judging people, because I know what have I been through, and I wouldn't want someone judging me. And I do get judged constantly because of the choices I've made, and especially the alternative route I made. People will never understand because only you will understand what you've been through. But also, I guess it's important, even though if someone is being negative, to, see it in a positive light. Like, they do need help, and they need to figure that out on themselves. Like, you can't always be there to help them because you are, the person has to be the one to make that step and that change.
Yes, yes. And like you say, a lot of people just don't understand. I was raised in the medical model. My mum was a nurse. So that's all I ever knew was the medical model until I started looking outside of that box. And then it was kind of a bit frowned upon, because why would you do all that? Why would you cut foods out when you can just take a pill? Well, because I don't want to take a pill. I want to look at what I can do. I want to support my body in its healing ability, because we're born healers. We just have to support our body to heal itself.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, the body is so beautifully created. It's supposed to heal naturally. It can heal naturally. You shouldn't, have to take all these pills to, like, and that will mess your body up, and mess the function up and the natural flow of your body. So yeah, it's a very beautiful constructed design, and you should allow space for your body to, heal, and, be patient. It's all about patience too, because it's not going to happen overnight. It took me
No.
years. Yeah.
Yes, and it's not, there is no one small fix, like take this pill for 7 days, or fast every day for 4 days and just drink water. There is no quick fix. It's a whole mindset shift, isn't it? And a lifestyle change.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And then there are things that will come up along your journey. And then, once you've healed from one thing, maybe something else will come up, So it's always a constant thing that you have to, keep track of and make sure you're staying on point with, so that, you don't get too sick or get back into that place that you were, because nobody wants to be sick. Trust me when I say that. It's the most horrible feeling ever.
Yes. Yeah. And I like one of Charlotte Gerson's quotes from the Gerson Institute. She says, you can't heal two diseases and keep one. So for people who are sick, when you support your body heals. It starts at that minor level, at the tiniest level, and then it grows outwards. The healing just expands. So if we're supporting our body on all these levels, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, we are just going to heal. And it will be a very slow process. And it might be that one day you wake up and you think, oh, I haven't had that symptom for a few days. It's like it's gone, but you haven't really missed it until you've become conscious of it. And then you realize that it's gone, it's healed.
Right, right. And that feeling too, that's an incredible feeling to have as well.
Isn't it just? And pain, when you wake up one day and you're like, the pain's gone. I don't have any pain anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is just amazing. And we do that for ourselves. We don't do it for other people. Healing it's a personal journey.
Of course. Yeah, you do it for yourself. Don't do it for, anyone else. You do it for your life, and you actually initially want to better your life. So, I mean, this is a, process of bettering your life. So, yeah, look at it from inward.
Yes. And individually as well. It's about listening to your own body. Because everybody's got opinions on what they think you should do.
Yes.
But it's about stopping and just sitting with it. Sit with the feeling. Ask your body. It might sound a bit weird, but what is it that you need?
No, absolutely. I often do that too. And I think a lot of people find it funny, but your body will tell you. You just have to understand it. It will tell you in ways that you don't necessarily would like it to tell you.
Yeah.
But it will tell you, your body will be like, hey, I'm not okay right now. I need you to like, focus on certain things right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And our symptoms are the messages, aren't they?
they are.
That's how we know that our body's not functioning properly, because we have symptoms. And
Absolutely.
and just taking a pill to take away a symptom isn't really going to help us on our own healing journey. It's just going to reduce that symptom. And from what I've read in some books, it pushes that symptom deep into the body, and then the body has to then manifest more symptoms, or more severe symptoms, or different symptoms.
I
So
believe it. Yeah.
so as we need to look at all of the symptoms together, and find out what our body is trying to tell us.
Hmm.
But if we can go back and heal that inner child, and like you say, do fun things and listen to, animated movies, and dance and sing or write, or whatever you like to do as a child, just nurture that within yourself now. Meditation is so good, because it helps us to be in that moment, because we're so busy doing. I think we forget at times just to be.
Oh, exactly. I mean, your life will be over in a snap of a finger if you don't stop and smell the roses, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to be in the present moment. And I know it's hard. This modern day lifestyle is very difficult because we're constantly go, go, go. You kind of just have to, like, go with the flow in the sense, but take some time for yourself, because in the long run, it will really help.
Yeah. And if needs be, schedule it in as like an appointment. Get your diary out and write, 2 till 3 is my time. I'm going to do whatever, or 8 till 9, or, 20 minutes here or 10 minutes there. Just sit down with a really good cup of coffee, or a tea, or an infusion, and just really be with that drink, and just really savor it, and smell it, and spend that time consciously with that drink, because we're on autopilot all the time, just doing.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely schedule it in. I mean, you got to, especially if you're working, you'll forget, like, oh, I need to spend time with me. Like, I need my me time, right? So
Yeah.
the most important thing is just, pull out your calendar, schedule it so that way it's written. So
Yeah.
then you have no excuses. And if you didn't do it, then that's on you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And even if you can't, if your life is so manically busy, you can't do it every day, every other day, but even 5 minutes is better than nothing, isn't it? And we can just sit and just breathe for 5 minutes, just be with the breath, feeling it coming in and moving out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
We don't need to be going to a gym, or paying for expensive exercise sessions, or going to, paying for services. We can do it at home.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of an introvert, so like that would stress me out even more to have to go drive to a gym and have everyone staring at you. I'm like, no, thank you. I'll just do it in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many videos on YouTube as well, whether you want to do exercise, whether you want to do meditation, learn to sing, anything you want virtually is on the internet now, with lessons on how to do it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of, this modern day and age. And that's one of the perks, is take advantage of all the free content that's out there on the internet, with technology as it's progressing, use it as a positive, don't use it as, a negative. And I think that's really important to keep into mind.
Yes, yes, but also keep into mind as well, it's quite addictive, and it's
Oh,
programmed to be addictive, isn't it?
that too. Yes, like maybe spend a couple minutes here and there, but yeah, put a timer on
Yes.
something.
Yeah, so you can become aware, because it's so easy to lose an hour or 2 hours, and you look back and like, where did that time go? And actually
Exactly.
we've achieved nothing, because we've either been on the internet, or we've sat in front of the TV. It's like daytime TV, and it's just, the time just goes.
It really does. It really does.
So Karina, If you could share one tip with the listeners that they could do to help themselves now, what would you share?
Yeah, so just going back to meditation, it's really important to just be like we were talking. Give yourself, if you can't do like, 15, 10 minutes, whatever, give yourself at least 5 minutes to just sit with yourself and allow yourself to just, calm down. Honestly, I promise you will need that because you will feel all the stress just kind of melt away and then go about your day. It's not like you can't do anything. Just 5 minutes. Just take some time to meditate, to just be in the present moment.
And it doesn't need long, does it? Really, you benefit so much from that short amount of time. It's like it re-energizes you.
It really does. It's like a recharge.
Absolutely. And could you tell the viewers, listeners, where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on most socials. I'm on Instagram. My @ is Karina, my first name, Karina, the letter X, and then Melissa, Melissa. And then my YouTube is Karina Melissa, but I think I actually recently changed it to Karxmel, so just a shortened version of that. And yeah, I have a link tree, so if you find me on one of them, it's linked. You'll find me on the other ones as well.
Oh, wonderful. So people can find you and read your story and get in touch with you and see what you're all about.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for being on Heal Yourself with me, and thank you again for sharing your journey here and in my book, Heal Yourself.
Thank you.